part, it has webbing on its toes. So do you think this is mostly an aquatic frog or a terrestrial frog?
Aquatic.
Aquatic, yes. Okay, so leopard frogs are big swimmers. Another thing to notice, so if you look on the rostrum or nose portion, you can see two tiny holes near the tip of the rostrum, and those are the external nares. Okay, the frog is...
Are they whitish?
Yeah, they're kind of off colorish, and you can kind of poke your pokey probe into them. So that pokey probe is called the needle probe. Okay, so those are external nares. If you go lateral and caudal, so toward the rear, you'll notice that the frog has eyes. Okay, yeah. Frogs are good trackers. Frogs also have two eyelids. They have a big external eyelid that on some of the frogs it's halfway closed. And then from the bottom there is kind of a translucent eyelid. So if you stick your needle probe under the kind of milky whitish or milky clear part of the eyelid, you'll notice that there's this eyelid coming from the ventral portion of the eye. That's called the nictitating membrane. N-I-C-T-I-C. N-I-C. I gotta spell it.
And you said it's like the clearish?
Yeah, it's the clearest thing. And if, I can show
so
it
the
to
dark
you.
one's this,
If
I
you
know.
come up
Did you
here.
say what the dark one's called?
I don't remember.
I'm gonna draw it.
Okay. I'm gonna look at that.
Kind of lateral edges from behind the eyes has a raised fold. That's called the dorsolateral fold.
Raised
The,
fold.
it's,
Oh, that.
it's that
top of the
stripe
legs.
down the two sides right behind the eyes. See the bump? These things right
That circle? No.
Oh,
It goes the
yeah.
length of the body. Those are called the dorsolateral fold. Some species of frog don't have the dorsolateral folds. I have no idea what they're for.
And that's a
Yeah,
muscle?
they're along the lateral edges of the dorsal surface.
Is that a muscle or no?
It's just a skin feature. I have no idea what it's for. But it is a determinant of some species because some species don't have the dorsolateral fold. So I don't know if it has an adaptive purpose. Okay, and Derica asked about the circle that's just behind the eyes. That's the tympanic membrane. Okay, so remember we talked about some animals having that diapsid skull. That's because they have two holes in the skull, and one of those holes is for this tympana. So this is the auditory area of the frog. And behind that circle membrane, behind that tympanic membrane, is their inner ear. So what they'll do, what we have is a tympanic membrane that's deep inside our skull. These guys have it on the surface, so it's just a little less complex. Okay, so we travel back and let's take a look at the fingers. Remember, one of the major adaptations was this dactyly. So the frogs have 4 fingers. They're supposed to be pentadactylous, and they indeed have the startings of, I don't know which is missing, the first finger or the 5th finger. But one of those fingers is missing, but the remnants of it are there. They just don't need it. Okay, so you can tell that this frog is dactylous. As we move back, we're going to notice that the legs are very hardy, and very hardy legs. This is a jumping and swimming frog. Toads that don't jump, toads usually run. They have teeny little legs. Okay. So the legs are for how it lives. If we look on the butt of the frog, more toward the dorsal edge, and if you take your blunt probe, be nice to the frog. Okay, don't use your needle probe. You can find the opening of the cloaca. Okay? Cloacal opening, or cloacal orifice, or party hole. Okay? Stick a probe in there. It's on the more dorsal side,
Is it really, really little?
like where the butt would be, Tony.
Is it really, really small?
It's very small. Orifice, yeah. No, the opening is the orifice. Okay? So you gotta stick your probe in there to find it. You gotta stick your probe in there to find it. That's it for the external features of the frog. Okay, so stick your fingers in there. Don't worry, they don't have teeth. Okay, and what you're gonna see when you open it up is the tongue. Okay, you see that tongue? If you need to, what you can do is take a scissors and snip a little bit along the sides. Now it can really open up. Okay, so you guys see the tongue, and if you kind of yank on the tongue, what you're going to notice is that the apex or anterior edge of the tongue is actually what is connected to the jaw. Okay, so when you think of, in the past, and you don't have any familiarity with frogs, you may think that the frog shoots its tongue out from the back, like the tongue is connected to the bottom of the back of the mouth, like in ours, and it just shoots its tongue straight out. Well, what these guys do is they have an anterior connected tongue, and they flip their tongue out like this.
Wait, what do they do?
They flip it, like unroll it. Like,
Okay, so this is one kind of ballistic tongue. Ballistic means that it shoots out with force, and the tongue has those, see the two little horns on it? They look like devil horns.
Yep.
Those kind of work to grab the prey item. So a chameleon, for instance, has a back or a caudal attached tongue that it shoots out. The frog has this ballistic tongue that kind of flips out, and instead of having a suction cup on the end of the tongue like the chameleon has, it has these two little devil pointy horns on it, and the flipping of the tongue stuns the prey item so that it's knocked out for a little bit, and then the tongue kind of grabs this cricket and pulls it back in. No.
So how far does it like how long, like?
So this particular frog, so I have friends that study the stupid stuff like this, like, and they get grant money for this. So this frog can shoot its tongue out the length of its mouth. So it doubles the length of its tongue, basically, when it shoots out. So when it ballistically flips out, it stretches out to be twice the length of the tongue.
So it's like stretchy.
It
And
is
then-
stretchy. And with the help of the hyoid bone, it can project out even more. Okay, so some frogs really ballistically shoot their tongue out until, it may be half the length of their body. But that's because of that particular attachment of the skull, where the hyoid bone doesn't have anything to do with the mandible and palatal quadrate, but the hyoid is there as a separate apparatus that will extend the tongue out even further. And that's true with like chameleons. So chameleons, we'll see a movie in where you can see the whole hyoid apparatus comes out of the mouth, and the tongue can. Let's look at the roof of the mouth. And at the roof of the mouth, you can see that there are two holes on the lateral side. And those two holes are the internal nares. Yeah, on the inside of the upper portion of the mouth. on the palate. Okay, you see them? You see them? Okay, and then there are two little bumps in between those. Those two little bumps, I don't even think they're on there. Those are the vomerine prominences. Vomerine teeth. Okay, all right. Those are the vomerine teeth. Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys. Oh yeah. Okay, so you'll see the vomerine teeth, and if you go over them with your probe, your what do you call that? Blunt probe, you'll see they're really bony. They're not true teeth, but they're extensions of the vomer bone. Okay, the vomer bone is part of the skull. So they are very bony, and it does hurt. They can draw blood, but they don't bite. They don't. No. They're not venomous. Okay, so let's peel open the lower part of the jaw. Okay, and when we peel open the lower part of the jaw, if you look toward the back of the throat on the dorsal surface of the frog's mouth, way in the back, you're going to see two openings. Those openings are the eustachian openings. Okay, so just like us, we have these eustachian tubes that drain our ears into our pharynx.
What are they called again?
Eustachian, E-U-S-T-A-C-I-H-A, or C-H-I-A-N tubes. Eustachian tubes, okay? So if you stick your blood probe in there, though, you'll see it goes back to the tympanum. Okay, gently, don't force. Don't pierce, unless you want to, I mean.
And what you said, those are two holes in the back.
Okay, and then just ventral to those eustachian openings, you're going to stick your probe in to the holes in the mouth, and you'll find the vocal sac openings, I hope. Yeah, ventral.
Oh, well, it has mucus.
Okay, I got it. All right.
You got what?
Nice.
All right. So let me draw on the board here. Okay, so do you guys see the laryngeal prominence?
Yes.
Okay, there's a bump and it has like an opening in the middle of it. That opening is known as the glottis.
This.
Okay, and just caudal to laryngeal prominence will be a large hole, which is the opening to the esophagus.
This right here.
Okay, so this is the glottis.
The bump is
This
the
is
glottis.
the internal, this little slit.
The slit is the glottis.
Yeah, the laryngeal prominence is
The
this
bump.
entire thing, and then down here in
Okay,
this hole
so there
is
should be
esophagus.
2, 4, 6, 7, 8 holes total in the mouth.
8 holes.
8 holes total. 2 internal nares, 2 eustachian openings, 2 vocal sac openings, a glottis, and an esophageal opening. Yes,
How about the mouth hole itself?
the mouth hole counts. I guess there's none.
So where are the vocal sac openings again? Those are on the side of the mouth, right? No. Where are the vocal sac?
If you cut the sides of the mouth, chances are you cut those holes. I don't usually test on the vocal sac openings because they're a little bit hard to find unless you're actively poking around in there. But these vocal sac openings that are a little further posterior to the eustachian openings are where air goes into that loose skin area underneath the jaw. Okay, so there, if you flip your frog over, you're going to notice that along its throat and underneath its jaw, it has like loose skin. And that loose skin is, in males, the vocal sac. So in order for them to call to mates, they have to fill that vocal sac with air through these vocal sac openings. And pushing out the air from the vocal sac, which is that muscle and skin layer, will push air across the larynx to make a noise. So you've heard frogs, some sound like snoring, some sound like birds calling, others sound like weird stuff.
Is it dorsal or ventral?
It is middle. It's medial. So not medial to the midline, but it's like right along this, what is this, the transverse plane, right along the mid-transverse plane.
So if you open the mouth, is it like, what do you
It's like right at the corners of the mouth.
So I'm guessing it's
Either
that part right there.
If you can't find it, chances
And
are
then
you
these
may have a
appear,
female.
or,
And females don't use their vocal sac.
So, but they still have one or not?
They still have one. It's very small. So if you don't find it, don't worry about